All right, Zach. So, what does your body feel like after a game, and what's it different than how you felt in college?
My body feels pretty sore after a lot of games, just from all the physicality that this sport brings. I think there's not a huge difference between college and this in the NFL between how I feel after games. I think I just learned a lot on how to, help my body feel a lot better after games and how to do certain things when I get home to feel a lot better for that next day.
Okay. Are there any differences between the recovery process, like in college or in the NFL?
In NFL, I think you just have a lot more opportunities to do a lot of different things with your body. Obviously, just having more money to be able to spend on your body, because in this league, that's the number one thing. It's the most important thing. Just being available. That's the best thing you can have as a team. Have people that's available and ready to go each and every Sunday. And then just time. Just after games, we have so much time between days until we have to be back on the football field to practice and meetings and things like that. In college, it's kind of, more of just try and get back as quick as you possibly can and stuff like that. But in the NFL, we have so much more time to really, focus on our bodies and our mentals.
Okay. What's the hardest transition from college to the NFL for a rookie running back?
Just trying to learn, obviously all these new different runs that you probably haven't ran in college before, being more of in a pro scheme offense and things like that, and just learning your offense and how they block and offensive line and all that type of stuff. And then just the biggest thing I think is just the effort of that these guys play with on this level is definitely different than college. Everybody on this level, no matter if you're the first, second, or third guy, plays with very, very high intensity, and that makes you have to bring it each and every play.
Perfect. Here we have a question from Jess. What are your interests outside of football?
My interest outside of football is, for one, starting up my own podcast, which, working on that right now. And then, just trying to build, something that can last a long time, just besides, being attached from football, just have something that I can look back on and be happy about.
Perfect. How are all the running backs working together right now?
All of the running backs, we're really doing a really good job of just, meshing together, just coming together as a room, just being a very young room. We're just trying to make sure that we continue to make each and every one of ourselves a lot better on the football field and off the football field, and just have a very, very good time enjoying each other's company.
Perfect. Can you share with us some of your personal goals for the upcoming season?
Personal goals is just, for one, stay as healthy as possible in this game. That's the number one goal for me. And then just, trying to help this team win as many games as possible. And, ultimately, the number one goal, I think, for a team and personal would be just to reach the Super Bowl and come out on the victorious side of that. So no more than that. So that's what I would say for that one.
Perfect. Now, going back to your college time. So what was your favorite play when you were playing at Utah that you can remember top of mind?
My favorite play at Utah would probably be, I don't really have a favorite play. I have a favorite game.
Okay.
So my favorite game at Utah would be my sophomore year versus USC at the Coliseum, which was my first 100-yard rushing game in college. So, that's something that definitely will always stick with me from, playing who we were playing and it being inside of that legendary stadium. So definitely USC my sophomore year is my favorite game.
Perfect. Now, the question, do you play fantasy football? If so, who's your number one pick?
I don't play fantasy football. I don't really know much about it. I've never had an interest to really look into it. But I don't know really much about that one.
What are you playing right now? What game are you playing right now?
Oh, the video games that I play mainly are Madden and 2K. I really don't really stray outside of those games much. So I really try and stay really just those two games mainly.
How good are you in Madden? Are you a good player? How would you rate yourself?
In Madden, I probably would rate myself an 8 out of 10. I think I'm pretty good, but I mean, some of these dudes out here really play that game seriously and have a lot more time than myself to really be on there. So I'll probably say 8, just from the dudes that I play.
Perfect. What were the emotions that you had when you first played in the NFL, in your first game?
The emotions that I had my first NFL game were pretty. I was actually more calm and cool and collected than I thought I would be. I think just not having any fans inside the stadium, being our first game here, I think that helped a lot. Just being able to just kind of just be pretty cool about it and everything like that. So I'm definitely looking forward to just having the fans in there and getting that real experience. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, though.
Perfect. So going to your game days, what kind of music do you listen to, and do you have, or can you name 2 or 3, music artists that definitely you have that on game day that you have to listen to?
Um, the first 3 artists that I listen to on game day mainly are J. Cole, Meek Mill, and then probably Drake. Out of those 3, I listen to mostly on game day. But I listen to mostly just hip hop music and gospel music, and try to get a good little like hyped up mix in there, and then just a more of a calm and more just regular little mix in there as well.
Perfect. Now, when it comes to running backs, right? So, can you name a running back? Maybe when you were a kid that you were looking up to, you were like, I want to be like him. And you can also name a running back that's maybe in the league right now that you like. This player is pretty good, and I'd like to get to that level.
Yeah. Running back that I watched growing up that I really, liked their game a lot, and I felt like I could do a lot of those similar things, and I felt like our games kind of, mix and match a little bit. Would probably have to be Marshawn Lynch, just because of the physicality, his run style for one being low to the ground, and just the way he ran, the way he approached the game. I just really like that a lot about how he was and everything like that. Running the backs, I mean, there's so many really good running backs in this league. One of the guys that I also from a few years ago just started watching and things like that will have to be Ezekiel Elliott over at the Cowboys.
Perfect. Now, if you had to pick one moment from your first year in the NFL, what would that be?
First moment, definitely my first 2 touchdowns in one game versus the Patriots. I think that was either week 8 or week 9. That was a really, really cool moment. Just being able to score 2 touchdowns in one game. A lot of guys don't get an opportunity to do that, and doing that as a rookie, that was really cool.
Perfect. Now let's talk a little bit about your faith, because I know that's a very important part of your life, and I know you share some part of the gospel and the scriptures every day. So how is that like important for you, and how does that play a role in your everyday life, and definitely being an NFL player, dealing with all the struggles and things that you have to deal with every day? How does that help you to kind of get through your day and keep you grounded?
Yeah, so my faith was instilled in me ever since I could remember. My mom did a really good job of always keeping all of us in church and things like that. So just having faith and believing God was something that is has always been like just a no brainer. And as I've gotten older and the more I've looked over stuff and just learned more about it and things like that, it's just gotten a lot deeper for me personally. But just it's the number one thing that has molded me. I think just being able to be humble, be blessed, and just grateful for everything that I get. You know what I mean? Don't try and let this world kind of just dictate about certain things that go on around me, and just staying safe and things like that is definitely the number one reason that I'm the way that I am.
Perfect. What would you say to a kid that's watching this interview right now that aspire to be a football player but may not have the resources or the opportunities to get there? What would you recommend? What would you say so that they can go after their dream and get to the position you're in right now?
I would say make sure that you exhaust everything. Try and figure out ways to get to certain practices. If you don't have that, availability to get, your parents don't have a car, or use a friend's car, use, anybody around you that you can get there to practices. Always, there's always a certain way that you can make something happen. So it's never oh man, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. You know what I mean? So just trying to always make something out of nothing, and you will, ultimately be rewarded for that in somehow, some way.
Perfect. Now let's talk a little bit about the podcast. So, you've mentioned before that, you want to be possibly a commentator or be in the media after, your playing career, but, you know, it's not very common for someone that's been playing in the NFL for a year to do something like this at the magnitude that you want to execute it. So kind of like walk us through the process for you to get started with the podcast and kind of the expectations that you have for it.
Yeah, I have a lot of expectations for the podcast. It was something that I've always wanted to do. I thought I would do it maybe, after my career was over, or, on the back end of it and things like that. But, it was just a perfect opportunity right now to really kind of just seize the moment and, just being around all these great athletes, knowing so many great athletes that are in this league and different leagues and things like that. I was like, man, this is the perfect time to really, take advantage of that. I got my degree in communication. So, something like this is something I always wanted to do. And having a podcast right now is an opportunity for me to, get a lot of practice in it right now and, just try and make the best out of it. And, ultimately it may, never know where life will take you, but it'll catapult me somewhere else in my life that I don't even know about right now.
Right. So what are your thoughts right now as, as an athlete, right? And definitely making sure that you have your voice, right? That you can definitely tell everyone what you think without going through the media. What do you think are the benefits for you to have your own podcast, your own platform, and how do you think an athlete can possibly impact the regular people?
Yeah, athletes as a whole, we are looked up upon as, so many good things to a lot of young kids, young adults, even sometimes older adults and things like that. So, I feel like athletes have a very, very important role in society. And I think just from all the good things that, athletes has been doing really recently, mainly I think the number one guy that you think about when you see athletes and, kind of just taking um, grip of their own, faith and, type of stuff like that. I think LeBron James and his on everything that he's been doing with his guys and stuff like that, just giving guys the opportunity to come on and just kind of speak their minds and not have to worry about things being scripted or, words being mixed up and things like that. So, with my podcast, I wanted to kind of do something similar and just, have a chance for guys to come on, kick back, relax, talk about, whatever they want to talk about and not have to worry about, the media, making it seem like this or making it seem like that. Everything that's we're going to be talking about is going to be real, honest, and, straightforward.
Right. Now you talk about LeBron, but I want to talk about Kobe because I know he is big, influence and definitely someone that you followed and will continue to follow for, for as long as you play and as long as you live. So, Kobe is an special character. He's someone that definitely transcended sports. He became, a businessman and he definitely changed everyone in every industry that he touched. So I want to get your thoughts on Kobe and from the athlete perspective and some of the things that you think he left behind that you guys can definitely follow and kind of the new opportunities that he opened for athletes overall.
Well, my thoughts on Kobe is, that's definitely my favorite athlete of all time. It doesn't matter what athlete may come or that was before him, that was a guy that it was perfect timing because once I was getting into sports, Kobe was pretty much the number one guy in sports, across all sports, really. So I just, naturally gravitated towards someone like that and, just seeing the way that he played the game, the passion that he had for the game, and just leaving no stones unturned. You know what I mean? He gave the game everything and the game gave him everything that he ever wanted from it. So, just what I learned from Kobe is just, just to do your best and don't let no one else tell you that you can't do something. Just have a certain mentality that your best is expected each and every day. So, just having someone like that was on this earth to show, us young athletes a certain way like that, it was really dope. But, just I think his impact that he left is going to be unmatched. I think there's so many guys that have done a lot of good things on this earth. But Kobe is definitely one of the more special ones that I've ever looked into. So definitely RIP to Kobe.
Perfect. Now, this is a question that I think, as a former athlete, I think it's something that happens a lot in is how do you surround yourself? Because, we see with athletes that, everyone wants to be hanging out with the athlete, right? You
Mhm.
get, 1,000 of DM messages and people that want to hang out around you. And not everyone is looking out for you or have their best interests at heart. So how do you protect yourself and how do you make sure that the people that are around you are with you because of who you are and not because of the athlete?
I think you gotta, stay true to yourself. I think that's the number one thing. Just don't allow new people into your circle for one, that you don't really know like that. If they don't really have a genuine love for you, and they just you can. I mean, you sometimes you can just tell with certain people. Just staying true to yourself though. I think is the number one thing. Once you start getting out of who you are and things that you believe in, you start running into a lot of different trouble and a lot of different people. So as long as you stay true to yourself, I think you always bring around the right attention and the right energy around you.
Perfect. Now, as an athlete, obviously you've dealt with the highs and lows, right? Because you're not gonna win all the time. So, how do you handle when you know that maybe things are not going the way you want, you're getting criticism from it could be fans, the media, or overall people. How do you keep focus on your end goal, and how do you manage also when you're on the high side when you think everything is going well? So how do you stay balanced so that you can continue to perform and achieve the goals that you have?
I think you got to stay even keel. I think most of that is just kind of sometimes your personality and how you are, how you were raised, and just the thing that you believe in. I think once things aren't going well, you got to have the same core beliefs that you had when they were going good, and it's vice versa. So just trying to stay right there in between. You never get too high, never get too low, no matter what's going on around you. Just trying to stay that same person that you were, before the fame, and stay the same person you are even after. So
Perfect. Last question is, what kind of legacy or message would you like to leave behind once you step out of the football field? Something that you want people to remember you for.
one thing I want to leave on the football field about my legacy is that he gave it all, each and every time he stepped on the field. He was a team player, and he loved the game for all the right reasons.